Hello and welcome to a new Scale 500 news video. If you're watching this video on release, then yesterday Herpa had an Instagram live stream where they once again were answering the questions of the community and of collectors. And I have tried to condense all the information from that live stream down into this hopefully not too long video. As always, we start off with a few sound bites from the live stream itself, and then I will give you loads more information right after that. And in the video description below you can find the full list of all the models that were mentioned during the live stream. But now let's listen to the first soundbite, and that is basically about the release schedule of Herpa wings. In the past, Herpa used to not just release but also announce far more models than they're doing today. They have reduced that in a somewhat wise move because they just couldn't keep up anymore with the models that they announced. They were barely releasing any of them on time. But has it really worked? Honestly speaking, not really. I mean, kind of. In the last two release batches of Herpa wings, they managed to release, well, 3 Scale 500 models. So if you reduce it that much, sure, then you should be able to keep up with what you're announcing, but I mean, 3 models, that's just not enough. But what did they have to say about the past, present and future of announcing and releasing models? Well, let's listen to what they had to say.
During the past years, we only announced fewer models than we did before. So before we had around 20 models, and now in May and June 23, we have 10 models.
Yeah, so basically already here we can see a decrease by 50% of models that were actually announced. But let's see what they say.
In the new releases brochure. So what do you think will be the future? What?
Well, that is going up again. In 2 or 3 weeks' time, the July and August package will be released. And there we have, I don't know it by heart, to be honest, but definitely more 1 to 500 scale models, because I think this is definitely a 1 to 500 scale question. We, in the 1 to 500 scale, had the most to catch up on. That's why we just had to slow down the announcements. Production capacities were just simply too full. We also, many of you know, we also supply models to airlines as well, to the retail market. Yeah, it was just a huge wave that we're pushing ahead of.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stop it there because then obviously we run into some audio issues. The production quality of these live streams is still appalling, unfortunately. But basically what he said was that, yeah, they reduced the amount of models announced because they couldn't keep up. But they think they are now basically catching up, and that means in the near future they will probably start to announce a little bit more models again. So let's see what the coming months will bring with Herpa announcements. So the next topic that came up was accessories and airport buildings. Although I think they went more into the airport buildings and the possibility of having a new stuff here from Herpa wings. But let's see what they had to say.
In general, that is something that we definitely want to look at as soon as we've caught up a little bit more with all the outstanding items. New airport building molds, like the plastic items that we have, the classic airport buildings, that is something that we do not have right now in development. We will certainly be doing one or the other set for the cardboard buildings. They have actually been doing quite well and give us the flexibility of being able to produce or design airports from around the world without having to invest 6-digit sums into tooling, because that's always the huge issue with developing new buildings. If you want to make them out of plastic, you have to build molds. Takes a lot of time, a lot of investment, and so right now we're more, going into the field of these cardboard buildings with the ground.
Then there was a really interesting question during the live stream where someone asked about the difference, basically of the importance for Herpa wings or for Herpa, the parent company, between Herpa wings, so the wings section, and the cars and trucks. So basically on the German market there's no doubt that cars and trucks is much bigger. But how does that actually correlate on the international level? Well, they talked a little bit about that, so let's hear what they had to say about that.
Well, if you ask us, we are very important. We are way more important than the cars and trucks side. No, but from sales side, cars and trucks is the more traditional business. We have the factory also here that's tooled, let's say, to 90% doing car and truck models. And seen globally, we are, I'd say, somewhere between a little less than a third of the company turnover. So cars and trucks is 2/3, a little bit more of the Herpa turnover. If we see it internationally, the wings division is at least, I'd say, 80%. So we have a very strong focus for the cars and trucks here in Central Europe and neighboring Germany and neighboring countries, but seen globally, wings is definitely the most important division.
So yeah, as expected, the cars and trucks division is definitely the most important in the German-speaking area of Europe. But it was quite interesting to get some numbers on the global picture of wings versus cars and trucks. So yeah. Then there was a topic regarding Brussels Airlines. Now, in the past, Herpa has actually been quite positive about the possibility of making new Brussels Airlines models, something I'm sure many European collectors would look very much forward to. And they were also asked about this in this live stream, but let's see what they had to say this time.
Actually, we produced Brussels Airlines models for Brussels Airlines. As of right now, they will not give us retail permission to do anything. Those models that we produced were 201 to 100 scale, nothing in 500, unfortunately. But we do hope that we can convince them to give us permission to produce the models. They have beautiful liveries. As you probably all know, not just the standard one, but also a lot of special liveries. And we'll keep at it and hope that we can change their mind.
Well, quite unfortunate, I guess. It really didn't sound that positive anymore. What a shame, what a shame. So let's cross our fingers. Hopefully Herpa will be able to convince Brussels Airlines to allow them to make scale 500 models. The next topic I would like to go into is Air India, which was also asked about. And the main reason I would like to look at this is because Herpa actually recently released an Vistara Dreamliner. And Vistara is owned by the same parent company as Air India. So in principle, this should be a no-brainer. It should be, well, fairly easy for Herpa Wings to then also get the license for Air India to make new models. But let's see what they had to say about that. I mean, they have also made Air India models in the past, quite a few actually.
It looks that way, yeah. Let's say maybe not in 2023, but there's been a lot of changes in Air India now that they're part of the Tata Group. There are a lot of new possibilities there that we're discussing also with Air India, and let's see.
Then, in the past, quite many years ago, Herpa was quite bold and they made some kind of interactive models. They made some 747 freighters where you could actually open the nose. You also had a few other models where you had like open cargo hatches and stuff like that. Some where you could move them, some where you couldn't. And there was a question regarding that and the possibility of getting new models like that, which I think, again, there could be a quite good market for. But let's see what they had to say.
That's an interesting question because at the time, we did these many years ago. They were actually not that popular, but as soon as the few that we did were actually, when they were sold out, all of a sudden demand picked up. The tooling does still exist. The thing is why a lot of people did not like it, I assume, was because the fuselage was out of plastic. Of course, it didn't look bad. It looked actually even better and more precise than a die-cast mold could ever be. But that's something we would also look into maybe if we have a little bit more time on our hands.
So, yeah, very interesting answer. And I mean, he's absolutely right. These models were not that popular when they first were released, and the popularity definitely did pick up right after they stopped producing them. But it would be nice if they could give it another go. He did mention the whole thing about the models being made entirely out of plastic, and that probably be the main reason why they weren't so popular to begin with. I don't know if, I mean, we've seen other interactive models, for example, Gemini Jets in scale 400, they make the models predominantly out of metal, which does also have maybe some drawbacks in some cases, but I would love to see Herpa give it another go and see what they could come up with in 2023 or 2024, probably more likely if they were doing it. I think there would be quite a few collectors very much looking forward to it. The next topic I would like to highlight here from the live stream was a question regarding the Norwegian airline Widerøe. And I know this is maybe not the most common airline or most known airline, but there's a reason why I wanted to take this question into the video here, because Widerøe is operating the Embraer 190 E2 and Herpa hasn't made a mold for that yet. But if they were going to do models with that airline, that could perhaps be a reason for them to actually create that mold. They have had a great success with the 195 E2 mold, which is really nice. So it would be, I mean, it wouldn't be, they wouldn't need to change much to make the 190 E2. So let's see what they had to say about this little Norwegian airline.
Yes, we have new contacts. Unfortunately, all the old contacts we had, we did at least in 200 scale Q400 a couple of years ago. All our contacts have left Widerøe. There's a completely new team. We have new contacts there and hope that we can get their approval, get their green light to do new models.
The next question that then came up was about the Fly Dubai, a 737 MAX 9. Now that model has recently been released after about 2 years delay. Actually, I think even more than 2 years delay. The issue here is, of course, that there's a massive, actually two massive mistakes with this airline model. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have reviewed this aircraft model and it should pop up in the top right corner of your screen, or you can find the link to that review in the video description below. But let's see what Herpa had to say about this. At least one of the mistakes is blatantly obvious. So the product manager of Herpa Wings, who of course is talking to us here in this video, should know about it.
Fly Dubai,
So yeah, unfortunately the audio quality at this point was very, very poor. But I can summarize what actually got through. The first thing is that they were asked about the aircraft model and their first response was they didn't know about any mistake. So they asked the people in the stream to clarify what the mistake would be. That already is a concerning answer from a product manager if you don't know about the mistake in your product. Then when the mistake was clarified in the live stream, they started talking about it, and this is what we heard here. Then unfortunately the audio quality was so poor that you barely could understand anything. But what got through was basically that, well, they didn't know about that and they would have to look into it. And I mean, honestly speaking, it is just really, really disappointing when the product manager of Herpa Wings, either he just doesn't want to admit that they had this mistake, or he really doesn't know about it. And I don't know which one is worse. One of the things he mentioned that you could actually hear in the live stream was that he was very pleased that the model had sold out. And sure, I can understand that Herpa is happy when a model sells out. But how can that be your comment to a model with such a huge mistake? I'm happy that it sold out. Yeah, but you shouldn't be happy that you sold a model with such a huge mistake. And by the way, you should know about this mistake. And then you should never have sold it, I mean, in the first place. I think this was definitely, for me, the low point in this live stream, the response to that. It's not the first time that we have had models with really blatant mistakes and where they pretend that they don't know anything about it, or they really don't. Again, in any case, it's really bad and really, really disappointing. Now, those were all the sound bites that I wanted to highlight from the live stream. By the way, I will also leave a link to the full video, the full live stream from Herpa Wings in the video description below. So if you want to see the entire live stream yourself, you can also do that. But now let's dig a little bit deeper into all the other models that were mentioned throughout this live stream. And for that, I need my notes. And here they are. So there was quite a lot of models that were asked about. I've again picked out the most relevant here, but again, the full list will be in the video description below. So if it is not mentioned here and you are thinking about any models, then check out the list below. If it was mentioned, it will be appearing there. Now, announced Condor models will be coming in June. So I think it's 2 or 3 models that have already announced, and they should be coming in June. The ITA A350, the answer here was partially inaudible, but it should be coming around July, August. Then there was a question regarding Turkish Airlines and specifically the aircraft with the 400th special livery. That was a clear no, but there is more Turkish Airlines coming in the future, and actually probably already this year, so September, October is the most likely time for that. Then great news for everyone who would like to have a red aircraft in their fleet. The Greenland A330NEO will be coming. At least it sounded very much like it. They sounded very positive with that model, but probably next year. Then there were a lot of questions regarding Austrian Airlines, here specifically the A320neo, and that was a yes/probably. So they did talk about that they would make more Austrian Airlines models, and I think the A320neo is likely, but probably more later down the line, because what sounded much more likely to happen sooner is the 777, which I'm a bit disappointed with because we had quite a few of them, so why not another one? But I guess they want to make at least one more of them as long as they are still in active service, because the 787 was also mentioned, but as the aircraft isn't yet in the Austrian Airlines fleet, don't expect to see it from Herpa Wings before it is actually flying in real life. But then he also mentioned the E95, and that actually sounded much more likely to be a model coming rather soon. I mean, when I say rather soon, don't expect it this year. Again, it's more likely for 2024, but it would be awesome if you could get it in 2023. Helvetic will come, but it's a question of when, not if. However, not this year. It at least seems very unlikely. Wizz Air was already announced a while ago. We had a video about that here on the channel, and that is coming, but unfortunately they didn't mention any date. So we still have to wait. All other European low-costers don't expect it from Herpa Wings. African models were also asked about. Here their main focus is on the main African airlines, so stuff like Ethiopian. Here specifically they mentioned the A350-1000, so I think this is a model we can definitely expect from Herpa Wings to appear. Egypt Air was also mentioned from him. Then there was a question regarding the Thai Cargo 747F and Air China 777F. And it didn't sound very likely, but he did say that there would be more cargo coming. The only airlines he mentioned here were DHL Aerologic, which is kind of nice, because if Aerologic is incorporated into that, then that could mean that we finally will get a DHL 777. And then UPS was mentioned, which we've also had, I mean, so many models of, but yeah. Let's see what comes there in the future. Then there was a question regarding Emirates, and yes, of course, Herpa will make new Emirates models also with the new standard livery from Emirates, perhaps also a few new special livery models. There was also a question later regarding Emirates Sky Cargo. Apparently they have ordered some 747 freighters, and they didn't seem like they weren't interested at all, but they will focus on the passenger side for now. Korean Air Cargo was then asked about, and the answer here was actually quite interesting, because what they said was not a normal sale. So that could mean that they are making new Korean Air models, but only for onboard sales for the airline, so they won't go into a normal retail sale. I guess it's better than nothing, because it means there is the possibility to get such models if they make them, but they will of course be quite expensive for most collectors, because they will have to get them through onboard sales and re-imports and stuff like that. But an interesting development here. Maybe Herpa will be able to do some Korean cargo or Korean Air in general in the future, but it doesn't seem like it will end up in a general retail, which is disappointing. Freebird, they have no contact to that airline, so don't expect it from Herpa Wings anytime soon. Then someone asked about Lufthansa, in particular about a Lufthansa A320 in the standard livery, and the answer is basically yes, but not now. Herpa has a little bit earlier this year actually talked a little bit more about Lufthansa models, and they said there basically that they want to complete the fleet. So what they haven't done yet, they want to do. But the reality is, yes, pretty much every aircraft type from Lufthansa will be made again from Herpa Wings in the new livery, also in standard liveries. It just takes a long time to get there, and the A320 is not the first model to come out on that topic. Then someone asked about, actually I did, then there was a question about the Binter ITA A350. Because they talked about it so many times, they've shown the sample model so many times, and now we finally seem to get it. It does look like it will come in June, so yeah, very, very soon, hopefully. Then a few more pieces here that I'd like to highlight. Finnair was also asked about again, and they are basically saying yes, there are a few pieces here that are still missing in the bigger picture. And I mean, the only airline models from Finnair that they haven't made yet, I think, would be the A320 and the ATR, and that would be awesome if they could make those, or A319 if they still have them in the fleet. But it does seem like there will be coming something, and hopefully also something narrow body, but they had no time frame for that, so probably not this year, but let's see. Then great news for everyone collecting Scandinavian Airlines, because there will be more stuff coming. Here was there was a question regarding the A321LR. That was a yes from Herpa Wings. I had also asked about the CRJ900 and the A319 in the Star Alliance livery. They didn't go into detail about that. Here the answer was more general, just saying yes, there will be coming more SAS stuff. And then the final item here on my list is the question regarding a Fiji 737 MAX, which actually also would be a lovely model. The answer was quite disappointing, because they simply said, yes, there will be coming more 737 MAX models, but they didn't at all go into the specific Fiji 737 MAX. So yeah, probably not, but who knows. So those were all the items that I had on my list here, but there were a few more things that were mentioned. As I said, the full list of all the things mentioned in the live stream you can find in the video description below. So what do you think about this information from Herpa Wings? Let me know in the comment section below. Is there anything here you are particularly excited about? What do you think about the answer about not knowing about the Fly Dubai mistake? I mean, come on, Herpa. But in any case, I hope you have enjoyed this type of content. And if you have, then feel free to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, you're always welcome to hit subscribe. With that, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.